no pun intended. Carolina graduate came to my office to interview for the job of band director for a band that had only about 30 students. There's no doubt that I made the right decision, as those present tonight will definitely agree. We agreed that the band would be in your hands and that the principal would be there for support. One of your first major decisions was to increase your numbers by allowing the junior band students to join the high school band. This was contrary to the advice of your predecessor. The numbers increased much faster than we anticipated. Long before your first state championship at Spring Valley, I knew that you were a winner. It was at Spring Valley that I saw the Band of Blue stand up and cheer for Summerville. Parents and supporters followed. This was a sign that the Band of Blue had arrived. You built a championship with discipline and hard work. You had a booster club that was absolutely outstanding. Yet they joined the administration by giving support and not interference. My personal pride came with other principals would ask, how does he do it? Very few of the students could afford to go outside to get band camps or get private lessons, and they'd always note that you have a well-integrated band. Tonight is a true tribute to Bill Young. It is also fitting that you leave the program in the hands of a trusted associate and your former student. Best wishes to you and Janice in an exciting new life, Mac Jones and Betty T. I spoke to Mac yesterday and reminisced, and he gave me some pictures that are over here on the tables, and I want you to get a chance to get to see him. He cleared out some closets and found some things and wanted to share with us. Our next speaker is a person dear to my heart. He was the band captain in 1978, and one of the reasons why I played trombone, you just saw him play the trombone solo, Mr. Randall Williams.
Good evening. I'll make sure I speak up. My wife always says I talk so softly. Whew. What a tough thing to do, but then again, it's easy. I truly am honored to be a part of this event, and I label it a historical event. Why do I say historical? Because I don't think in the history of this school will there ever be a teacher to impact the lives of as many students as Bill Young has in his career. So it indeed is a historical event, and I'm just so happy to be a part of this celebration. You know, Bill has proven himself to be one of the most outstanding music educators in the state of South Carolina, and he's contributed so much to our lives, to this community, to this school, and he needs to be commended for that. When I was talking to my wife Karen about what I could talk about, I thought about, well, it was rumored that Dolphus Pinckney and I were Bill's first students when he arrived in Walterboro. Dolphus told me yesterday that he was first and I was behind him, but Bill Young represents many firsts for me in my life. Of course, the first contact was in the summer of 1973 when I received a letter from Mr. Young informing me that I was a member of the band, well, inviting me to be a member of the Walterboro High School band program. I was scared after 1 year of being in beginner band, not even knowing how to play the concert B-flat scale. But Bill invited us in, and it was the beginning of many great experiences for me. So I thank him for that. Another first, which was mentioned earlier, was when we went to the inauguration of Jimmy Carter in 1976. And for a young kid like me growing up in the town of Walterboro, that was my first experience traveling to Washington. And many of my experiences traveling while I was in high school was because of my involvement with Bill in the band program. So I thank him for that first. And also, if I can go back to that first contact in 1973, that's truly when Bill began to introduce me to the art of music and the many life lessons from being a part of his band that I learned. You know, the discipline, the hard work, the teamwork, those are lessons that I've learned and I still apply to this day, so I thank him for that. 1982 was his first state championship, and in a little way I was involved with that, so I also thank him for that. That was the first for he and I. 1984, my first real job. Many of you may remember me as the Pecknell Man, but I was the Pecknell Man, and it was because of Bill Young. Bob Shelf, who was my boss at that time, who I talked to from time to time, and I had a conversation with Bob shortly after I started working for the company, and Bob said that I had the job because of Bill Young. So I thank him for that first also. As I look back over my life, Mr. Young, I look back over the many years, you've been a mentor to me, you've been a role model to me, but even though time has passed, more importantly, you are indeed a very good friend. And Mr. Meyer mentioned earlier about the old band room and the old cafeteria. I can remember when it rained, we had to move the chairs because it settled in the trombone section. I have so many great memories about the band program. I can tell you that I was one of the first in that group where we came up with the name, The Band of Blue. I could also tell you first, because of Bill Young and me, that I have the first letter jacket given for band at Walterboro High School belongs to me. Thank God for Bill Young. But back to the old band room, there was a sign that Mr. Young had in the band room that said, "Winners never quit, and quitters never win." Mr. Young, as evidenced by your 9 state championships, your having been inducted to the SCBD Hall of Fame, the many OPAs, all the personal accomplishments that you've received in your career, the thousands of students that you have impacted in your career, you are a winner. And I salute you, and may God continue to bless you, Bill Young.
Well, I'd heard the story about Randall Adolphus being the first 2 band students, so our next speaker is, I guess, the first person that walked through the band room, Mr. Dolphus Pink.
Good evening. I've been pondering on what I would say about the week. And I asked my wife, Denise, what you think I should say? She said, well, speak from your heart. And that's what I'm going to do. Bill Young, when he came, I walked first. Excuse me. I walked in the door first. He impacted my life and has impacted my life up until today. He taught discipline. We never quit. He never let us quit. Those hot summer days out behind the old Walterboro High School on Hampton Street back there on the field, 105-degree days, 103-degree days, we never quit. We all worked as a team. We pulled together. I don't know what to say. I mean, he is truly a mentor. This is something that I tried to talk to Tommy about. You couldn't talk him out of not retiring right now. But, you know, that was when he told me that. I think that was during the Christmas parade, and it was very emotional for me when he told me that. I mean, I had to turn away from it. But anyway, Bill Young, you mean a lot to me. I love you. God bless you, you and your family, and whatever you're planning on doing in your future. God bless you. And I thank you for this moment to speak.
Our next speaker from the 70s decade is our drum major from the band Blue from 1976, Miss Kim Logan Perry.
emailing each other about me speaking tonight, and I wasn't totally sure I was. I prepared a letter, and I'm actually going to, that you're going to get later on, Bill, but I'm going to share this letter tonight. I wanted to, when I started the letter, I wrote, Dear Bill. Well, I was really struggling with that because, you know, it's always been Mr. Young to me, and Dear Bill just didn't seem right. So my letter goes, that greeting just doesn't sound right. It's always been Dear Young, but I graduated 28 years ago, so Dear Bill is, I'm not that much younger than you. And in my letter I went on to say that how is it that I have a child going to first grade and you're retiring? But you made such a difference in my life. Moving here from Minnesota in my sophomore year was a huge change for us and for me. But joining the band made that move so much easier. It helped me make friends. It gave me structure and purpose, and I really had a lot of fun. And I was thrilled when you picked me to be your first female drum major. Back then, I just respected you a lot for that decision in the young days of the band. Being in the band was the highlight of my high school years. I remember when we first moved here, my mom said something like, who does Bill Young think he is when you are practicing all day and night? But it wasn't long then, she was saying, it wasn't long, however, until she thought the sun rose and set by what the band of Blue was doing. I hope you know how much she loves and respects you and all you've done for all the Loman children. And I just want to thank you for everything and wish you only the best in your retirement.
Our final speaker from the 70s is the man that started me in beginner band at Black Street Elementary in 1976. Our assistant band director from 1974 to 1980, Mr. Randy Pruitt.
When Tommy asked me to speak tonight, I started thinking about a lot of things to say. It would have taken me probably 3 hours to talk to you tonight if I had to say what I really wanted to say. I had to make some notes just to organize my thoughts. The unfortunate part of it, I've become blind and can't see. I had to go out and get my glasses. Hadn't thought about some things that I wanted to say right quick, but I do want to say some things. I never really left Walterboro. The spirit of Randy Pruitt has always been here. I was physically elsewhere, but when I got to where I was going to be, I realized that I belonged here. Every time that you stepped onto the field, and went to a contest, and sat down for a concert, I was actually here with you in spirit. It was always the hardest thing to look back and realize that this was where I really belonged. I remember being in a class reunion in 1990, and in the year 2000, when my 20th and 30th year from my graduating class, and we all did what you do at a graduation, and you talk and you do this and that, and then I noticed that the conversations had ebbed and it was quiet, but no one was leaving. And what I realized was that for the little bit of time that we could, we all, for just a little while, could be 18 years old again. And we could get away from our jobs and child rearing and bill paying and all of that. And tonight I want to thank you for letting me be 28 years old just one more time. I came in August of 74 on a hot day, and you know, I was fresh out of college, never been away from home.